Well, I think there's some handy traditional analogies that we could use to describe this. And one set of analogies are like this: that when we embark upon the spiritual path, precisely because it is a path, we're going through places we don't know about. We're going to a destination we don't really know where it is. So we need, when you do that, you take a guide with you, somebody who's used to that terrain, who can explain the quickest way and how to avoid deviations. And only a foolish person goes through an unknown place without a guide. Similarly, we need a teacher. And then a related analogy is, again, about the journey. When we're going on this spiritual journey, we are definitely going to encounter difficulties. Some of them will be through external circumstances. How do we practice in difficult places, in difficult times? And some will be to do with our own kind of internal problems ripening, as it were, which always happens, when we practice Dharma authentically. We come up against our own resistances and our own prejudices, our own assumptions. We need a protector. We need a kind of escort, so to speak, a guard who will give us the protection at that time to overcome these difficulties. And that's what the teacher does. The teacher recognizes these problems, these traps, these seductions, and helps us to overcome them. And then the third analogy is that it's like we're rowing across. To practice the path is in a way like we have to cross very choppy water. And we need so just like when you cross a body of water, you need a ferryman to do that, to conduct you across. So the Lama is like that. So in that way, we can understand that the need for a teacher is a very pragmatic one. It's not about obeisance to authority, submitting ourselves to some more savior figure. It's a strictly practical need that we have, and only a very foolish person would try to do without a teacher in this most serious of all undertakings for life, which is to practice the spiritual path. And then there's another lovely analogy about why we should rely upon a Lama, a spiritual teacher. It's this, that apparently in India, where there are sandalwood trees endowed with this beautiful scent, all the trees around the sandalwood tree, by their proximity to it, by their reliance on it, you could say, are gradually themselves become imbued with the scent of the sandalwood tree. And so it said that when you rely upon, a great Lama, then gradually these qualities that he has, in a sense, or she has, transfer to you. I mean, really what's happening, of course, is that his inspiration or his example, his teachings are awakening these potentials in you. So you become endowed with the qualities that you first saw in him or her, were able to rely on in him. So those are all kind of analogies. If we think about it in a more kind of specific way now, the Lama is someone who is a skilled teacher. Teacher of what? Well, of Buddhist teachings. Because here's another thing. In Buddhism, we're not interested in standalone gurus, in kind of standalone spiritual masters. We're followers of the Buddha. We took refuge in the three jewels. So for us, the Buddhist teacher is the one who shares the teachings of the Buddha with us. And if he doesn't do that, or she doesn't do that, or even they don't act in accord with those teachings of the Buddha, they're not for us. You could learn some things from them, but not the Buddha's Dharma. So that gives you a guide as to what some kind of hint as to what you're looking for. Somebody who is learned in Dharma, a charismatic fellow, a person with some kind of air about them of spirituality. They all may be well and good, but they're nothing for us. What is important for us is to be learned in the Dharma. Now, learned in the Dharma doesn't just mean textual learning, that's very important. It means that they display the qualities that are talked about in the teachings. So if it's somebody who we wish to study the Mahayana with, is definitely somebody who exhibits some of the qualities of compassion and some of the understanding that is wisdom. In other words, they are really seriously acting according to their bodhisattva vow. their dedication to the enlightenment of others. They are serious practitioners of the path who show some of the fruits of the path working in them. And as they have compassion for us, their disciples, and they're endowed with the wisdom that enables them to guide us skillfully in the Buddha's teachings. Then if it comes to the Vajrayana, the Tantric teachings, the uncommon Mahayana, then they must have, as well as those Mahayana qualities, they must have the qualities of that teaching, which means that they have, first of all, they're learned in the Vajrayana, they've received the transmissions, the initiations of the different, from the different sets of tantras, and they've accomplished retreats so that they have the experiential realization of those teachings, and they hold the vows and pledges that are incumbent upon somebody who's practicing the Vajrayana, so that they're a pure transmitter of the tantric teachings to us through their learning, through their ethical behavior, and through their realization of the core practices of the Vajrayana. Only such a person can ripen us, as we put it, through initiation, because in a Vajrayana initiation, a connection is made between our body, speech and mind, as they are now in their ordinary, so to speak, functionally dysfunctional state, and a Buddha's body, speech and mind, which are the nature of enlightenment. The Lama in the initiation ritual creates a connection between the two, so that we can then, our body, speech and mind can subsequently be ripened into that of a Buddha. But to be able to do that, the Lama must have realization, because otherwise the initiation will have no power, no effectiveness. So, in Vajrayana, in all Dharma, it's necessary to rely upon a Lama, but in Vajrayana it is most important of all, because the Vajrayana does not work without this entry into Vajrayana through the mode of initiation, and that depends upon a qualified Lama to work.